All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Bar and Session podcast. A little bit of a different episode today. We got a guest. We're going to do a little bit of an interview here. It's two-time All-American Chris Foca out of Cornell. Chris, how you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be on this interview,
Yeah,
this
cool.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a few years now. I my memory is well, it starts with you teching me at Super 32, and then again at Journeyman. And then a couple years later, you come on a visit to Cornell after were you at the time committed to Iowa State, or you
I
had
had just,
decommitted?
yeah, it
Yeah, yeah. And then you came on a visit, and I think you were Andrew Berryessa was your host. I think
was Furman.
it was Furman.
Furman was
They
my host.
gave Furman. You got put with Furman.
Uh huh.
That's no wonder you committed.
Uh huh.
Obviously.
No, he did a hell of a job.
Hey, no kidding. So yeah, two-time All-American. How do you feel about your career with how it wrapped up, and yeah, how well, at least with the college side of things,
Yeah.
how did
No,
you feel things went for you?
I feel at peace with how it ended. Um, Obviously, you go into college wanting to be a national champ, wanting to be a multiple time national champ, and obviously it takes a kind of person to do that, and you don't just walk in
Mm-hmm.
and do that. So, um, yeah, I started out my freshman year. I started off pretty hot, honestly. I was a top 10 guy, battled some
Yeah.
injuries, got the tournament that I wanted, came back the next year and hit it as hard as I could. I wanted to prove everybody wrong and ended up with the bronze. Then
Yeah.
junior year, I went up a little too late in the season, so I never
Mm-hmm.
put the size on. I was battling guys that I just couldn't really move around and made a pretty deep run in the tournament. I mean, I made the round of 12,
Yeah.
but obviously that heartbreak stuck with me all year because I just didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to feel that again. And then
Right.
this year was just different. This year I didn't care if I won or lost. And when I was talking to the coaches, the team, and the sports site guys, that's pretty much what I was preaching. It's like, as crazy as it sounds, I'm at peace with the fact that I might lose matches. Like it just doesn't matter to me. And
Yeah.
the turning point was going into nationals, fully believing that I'm going to win, and being like, hey, like on my best weekend, I know I could win. And when it came down to it, if you look at the difference in score between the top placer and the sixth placer, we were all within 3 points of each other.
Yeah.
So in another life, I win the tournament. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
If my weekend pans out the way that it could, that's what happens. But yeah, I just wrestled as hard as I possibly could. Went into every match with a huge smile on my face because I looked at it as a blessing to be there. I wasn't caught up in the hoopla and the media and stressing myself out. Oh, like this is the round of 12. Like if I win this, I'm an All American. Like no, I went into every single match just like, all right, like let's do it. Like let's have a good time. I
Right.
was dancing before every match, and then yeah, I mean after every win, I was happy go lucky. After every loss, I was happy go lucky. I McAnally beat me in the quarters, and I wished him good luck, like on the
Yeah.
mat. Like hey, like go get it, man. Like I
Yeah.
was just happy to be there, and yeah, when it came down to it, I beat Jackson Smith for fifth, and I was like, damn, like what a way to end the college career. Got back on the podium. I was able to smell the roses, and yeah, so I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right. Yeah. And I think that is something that people. Uh, I don't know what the fan perspective is of it, but I definitely understand the idea of knowing that this is going to be your last time doing something like you'll never be able to do it again, and so just go out and have fun with it,
Hmm.
right? And just kind of think about I'm just going to go out and wrestle the way I wanted to wrestle, when I started, which is just go out there and have fun and just
Hmm.
enjoy the experience. And I mean, I remember I was right above the tunnel, and my brother nudged me, and I looked down, and there's you like looking up at me with a smile on your face as you're warming up, waving at me. I'm like, oh yeah, he's just going out there having fun,
Oh
and like
yeah.
that's what helps you wrestle your best. I believe personally, like as long as you're having a good time with it, you're not letting the stress tense you up and wear you out and hold your breathing. You know, that's whenever you wrestle your best. And
Hmm.
I do you definitely are one of those guys who on your best day you're going to be one of the top wrestlers. I remember your sophomore year when you were still at 174, I was like, give me Chris Foca over Carter Starachi. Like I know it's possible. I know he can do that type of stuff. And I
Hmm.
think if you're in your junior year, if because I remember the situation being 174 was becoming a little bit of a cut, right?
It's becoming a crazy cut.
Yeah.
It's coming
And
down from like
so
135.
right. And so Lowe gets hurt. John Lowe gets hurt, so he's out. And you say, all right, I'm going to take the opportunity. You go up
Hmm.
184, and Benny Baker wrestles 174, and yeah, maybe you weren't fully adjusted to it, but making the round of 12 with a weight jump at that point of the year, that's good. So
No, I appreciate it.
yeah, I mean, great college career, and so now at this point, you've already said you plan on wrestling freestyle. You're sticking around with the Spartan RTC and staying in Ithaca for all of it, and is that the plan?
It's up in the air right now, but it's definitely
Okay,
what I'd like to stay in Ithaca if possible. But
yeah,
other RTCs are in contact with me, and I'm entertaining the thought of it. Like just hearing
right,
everybody's side, what they all have to say, and I'll make a decision. But yeah,
yeah,
no
okay,
place as of yet.
okay. So, but are you going to wrestle at the U.S. Open here in 2 weeks?
I'm representing the Dominican Republic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay, so I mean, you're kind of right in there at Worlds already.
yeah. So I don't know
Okay,
if they're gonna weigh a guy in for the Pan Am Games because I'm
yeah,
not really well in contact with them. But
okay,
if they weigh in a guy, then I guess they're sending somebody to Worlds, and I could try to wrestle off for a spot in the summer or something like that. But if they don't send a guy to Pan Am's, I guess I'll just have to sit tight, do ranking series
right,
tournaments, and go to opens.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's fine, but just
right,
sit tight till
okay.
next year.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. I didn't know that. Honestly though, I did think earlier today because I was writing out some questions. I was like, maybe he is wrestling for a different team, but the Dominican Republic. Okay. And so yeah, there are some new rules with. I mean, if you are a quote unquote transfer, you have to they're the country has to represent with at least one, I think, native representative. And so it's like if you wrestle at, I mean, what weight would you be? 79 or 80, 86?
86. Yeah.
You'd be 86 kilos, and so they'd have somebody at some other weight.
Hmm.
Um, okay, that'll be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know there's there's obviously a lot of guys who are starting to take that path, and it's panning out, and so
Hmm.
that'll be interesting to see. I don't think people are too aware of your freestyle savviness, so that'll be
No,
good for you to be able to put that on display.
Focus style's not gone yet.
Right. Yeah. I do wonder because a move that you hit twice at NCAA's your sophomore year was the Navigator. And
Hmm.
did you kind of feel like you lost that a little bit, or where did it kind of go in terms of your arsenal?
It was still around, so like the navigator, if I tip that hip and catch your arm, I'm gonna pin you.
Hmm. Right.
But guys, if they don't overextend their arm, it ends up being a go behind. And
Right.
if I tip their hip and they roll out and I lose their arm, which is typically doesn't happen, then we're just back on our feet. But I think guys knew that that was happening, so when they shot a single, they would kind of bring their elbows back in and not
Hmm.
get extended. And if they got extended, they would push off and then get back to their feet.
Yeah. So
So
people just they're aware of it.
yeah,
Okay.
so I was still like, here's the thing, like I wouldn't actively look for it because I don't want to just be a one trick pony. Like if it was
Hmm.
there, I would be like maybe seek it for a sec and then rip it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it was there a couple of times in the last 2 years. I would more so tip the hip and just catch an ankle and go behind. Then I
Right.
didn't get pin. I didn't get a single pin this year. First time like ever that I went a whole
Right.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, no.
Okay.
Mm.
Interesting. Um. All right. Let me dip into my question tank here a little bit. So this first one I got here, when you first got into wrestling, or what first got you into wrestling, and when did you realize it was something that you wanted to pursue at a high level?
I first got into wrestling in 2005. I was going to my mom's car from kindergarten. I was walking out of school, and literally out of a movie scene, a flyer lands at my feet. It's a yellow flyer, and I pick it up, and it says junior wrestling, like dates and times, and then like the gym. And I was like, no freaking way! Like, I'm gonna be like Triple H and Stone Cold. Like, this is sick. So I take the flyer home to my mom and dad. I'm like, yo, like, I don't want to do football. I'd rather do that. And they were like, oh, like this is wonderful. Like my dad was like, no way, I wrestled in high school, and like this would be awesome. I go there and I don't even have shoes, but they're like, yeah, you're too young. Like you need to be 7 to wrestle. And my older brother and older sister had my older sister had just turned 7. My older brother's older than her, was fine, and they wrestled, but I didn't practice for like the first 2 or 3 practices. But I put on these like tiny wrestling shoes and I'd run up and down on the other side of the mat when they were jogging. Like I wanted to do it so bad. And finally, on like the third or fourth day, the coach is like, you know what, like you're here more than the other kids. Like sure, just come
Yep.
wrestle. And I just
Yep.
started wrestling, and that's kind of how it started. When I realized that I wanted to do this at a high level, I mean, I didn't really wrestle year round until I was about 10 or 11.
Okay.
And then I started going on like travel team and all that, and I was like, oh, like maybe I could like really take this seriously. And then I realized the talent that I had for it and how much I really cared when I was in like 6th grade. That's when like
Hmm.
the turning point started to happen. I was like, oh, like I could win a state title in New Jersey, like in middle school, and like I really want to do this. Like I want to go to Super 32. I want to go to like these freestyle tournaments and all that. And then 7th and 8th grade, just kind of like really put it together. Had a good high school career, and then sent it to Cornell.
Yeah. So that is an interesting start because I your dad has red nose
Mm-hmm.
wrestling, and so that didn't get started until you were
Until I was 10.
uh, till you were 10. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you started taking it seriously. Your dad opens up this club, and then from there it's full sprint, full speed
Because I
ahead.
was I was good when I was 10 and 11. Like in like fourth through like or like third through like 5th grade, I was like pretty good, just like a local guy, like whatever. But then like I would be practicing at my dad's club all the time, and he'd bring in some good guys, and then they kind of like put the confidence in me and be like, hey, like you could wrestle on like the national level. And yeah, 6th grade is pretty much like I sat down with my dad's here. I remember talking to him, and he's just like, "Hey, buddy, like, I think you should start going to these national tournaments." And I was always afraid. Like, I always wanted to do it, but deep down, I was afraid. I was like, "No, like, these guys from like Colorado and Oklahoma are gonna beat me up and stuff." I'm like,
Yeah.
crap. But no, I just put
Yeah.
myself in the best possible scenario to get national exposure, and I feel like it worked.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Did you? So was it folk style until like high school, or when did you start getting into freestyle and Greco?
About 6th grade, I
Sixth
started
grade.
doing
So
all of it. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Interesting. I would have thought that my guess would have been that your dad had been doing red nose, and so as soon as you were basically able to walk, he would have put you into a wrestling room. It's crazy
Oh no.
that you you saw a flyer, and then from there that was your sport of choice. That's
Mhm.
crazy, honestly. Wow,
Yeah.
wow, interesting. Okay, so with moving on to the senior level for you, we're done with college,
Mhm.
and you're going to be wrestling for the Dominican Republic. Um, what what are you looking forward to, or what kind of change are you expecting in terms of like the training and competition cycle? It's not as much of a that 4 or 5 month grind. You kind of have a full year training cycle where it's the intensity is varied. You're not competing as often. What are you looking forward to, or what are you going to kind of miss between the two?
I think the only thing I'm gonna miss is just representing Cornell, like in a Cornell singlet. Like that was, although it was 6 years and I got 2 extra years out of college that everybody else gets, but
Mm-hmm.
um, it was a special time being able to put that block C on and the red singlet. But I feel like moving on though, like you said, folks, that was a grind. Like it wears your body down, and by the time nationals come around, like some guys peak and some guys fade. But um, yeah, going into freestyle, I mean, I'm just full eyes forward, super excited about it. I feel like freestyle fits my style of wrestling a little better because I'm more about rolls and hip tips and like blah blah
Yep.
blah and all that crazy stuff. So um, when I started getting the feel for it, I just started practicing freestyle in the room 2 days ago. So I'm gonna start building the feel for it again. Um, yeah, what I'm looking to do, I mean, just get exposure in front of in front of the best guys. Like I was watching the European Championships today, and I was watching Ramazanov and all them at 86 kilos. and
Yep.
Kadi Magomedov, and I'm like, damn, these are the guys that I want to be wrestling, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
putting myself like I did in middle school and like I did in high school, just putting myself in front of the best competition, and I like to think that I figure it out over time. Like you might beat me a couple times, but I start to I start to make adjustments mentally and just the way I approach things and all that. So
Right. Yeah. Speaking of European championships, that is crazy to think that you'll be competing against those kinds of guys. Um, did you watch Did you watch Valiev and Sidakov
yeah,
and their controversial situation? What do you think of that?
yeah, I think it ended up being scored fairly. I was
Yeah.
sitting there watching it with we were in the lounge at Friedman today, and I watched it with the coaches and Yanni and like some of the team, and
Hmm.
we were like, no, this is a score. It should be like that was he exposed initially because he went back to his elbow,
Yep.
but they didn't call that too. So initially after the first scoring review, it was 4-4 Sidikov on criteria. We're like,
Hmm.
no, it should have been. We were saying 4-2 or 6-2, but it ended up being 4-2, and we were like, no, it should be 4-2. It should be 4-2, and it came out and it was right. So
Right. Yeah. That Valiev kid, he's pretty freaking good. So if we see
yeah.
him and Sidakov and Jamalov and whoever we send at 74 kilos and Takatani, 74 kilos is gonna be a lot of fun to watch
Hmm.
for the senior level this year. And man, it would be good to be able to see you and whoever comes out on top in the U.S. at 86 kilos, and Kadi Magomedov and Ramazanov, and I mean all the other hot high level talent at 86 kilos. That'd be awesome to watch. So
Hmm.
I do hope that happens. So, but so you were talking about, you know, you're going to misrepresenting the Cornell, the Big Red, and being, maybe you'll be in Ithaca, maybe you won't, but what makes it kind of a unique fit for wrestling while still being the highly competitive academic university that it is?
It's different than any other school that you would see in D1. We don't
Yep.
have the NIL funding and like all that crazy stuff. We're not buying teams. Um, and that kind of goes down to our motto, family, not factory.
Yep.
Like you've heard that. I'm pretty sure like we preach that pretty hard,
Yep.
um, but that's what it is. Like it's a family, it's a brotherhood, it's a group of guys that the coaches bring in, and they invest their time into making them not only better wrestlers but better humans. Like you get there and you're getting an Ivy League education, you're setting yourself up for life, and you're wrestling on a consistently top 8 team in the nation year after
Yep.
year, and you got coaches and wrestlers that want to get the best out of you. So you're looking at it as a double header. I mean, you're getting an Ivy League education and wrestling at a top university as well. So that's kind of the selling point that they had me on when I initially committed. But
Hmm.
it's kind of the price that you're getting. Like, yeah, we're not being able to shell out like hundreds or tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in money to these kids, but we're giving them an experience that is an environment for growth.
Right. So I I thought about this the other day because I didn't know if it was the case or not. Are Ivy Leagues prohibited from doing NIL, or is it just the funding is not at the same level from an NIL perspective for Cornell?
So we're allowed to have sponsorships in the Ivy League, like say like Nike or Adidas or whoever
Hmm.
sponsors me. That's fine. I would just have to report it to compliance with my
Right.
school. Um, but it's not like, oh, so and so signed with, let's just say, Penn State, and they're making 250.
Yeah.
It's like we can't do that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That. I mean, I talked about this. I made a video about this a couple weeks ago or a week or two ago, where I remember the initial situation with NIL being like, for example, football players, they want to make sales or a profit off of the jersey sales that you know schools get from selling their jersey.
Hmm.
And NIL comes out, and all of a sudden it's like, at first it was sponsored athletes, like Roman Bravo Young is a wings over athlete, and you got all these barstool athletes, and that's cool.
Hmm.
But now it's like contracts for $10 million to go wrestle for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And it's like,
It's like
where did we
professional
make
sport.
this leap? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. And honestly, like you look at Ivy League schools, and I think military schools and Ivies are the only two that can't offer that. But it's like
right.
it's tough to compete with that, man. You know, like
Yeah,
them
and
professional
so
guys like throwing money in your face. Like, how do you not say
right,
no to that? You know, it's hard.
right. But there is and I don't know if I can even fully quantify it. There is something different about Ithaca and the Cornell wrestling team, just the environment. I mean, I was in Ithaca for 2 years and I was in Indiana for 3 years and maybe yeah, Indiana was in a transitioning period and it was in the middle of COVID, but I mean the culture that is around the Cornell wrestling program is I don't think it's matched by very many if any other programs, especially with the fact that yes, it is family not factory. You can't be having these kids that are basically on contract and yeah, it's a different type of place for sure. So
Hmm.
also the summers, I don't know if you were really there that much over the summer, but the
I've only
summers in
been one
Ithaca,
summer,
yeah,
been
you.
for five.
I mean, at least hang out a little bit, during the warmer months, because everybody's in Ithaca when it's school and it's winter and it's 30 degrees for 8 months straight, and you don't get to see the sun. But when it's summertime and everybody's going to the gorges in between practice, there's honestly not a better
No,
wrestling environment.
it's a beautiful place in the summer. You know, like you said,
Yeah,
warmer months and all. Like, you realize how much there is to do out in Ithaca too. So yeah,
yeah, no kidding. Okay, um, with Cornell, there was, I mean, a pretty decent amount of turnover. I don't know. I guess you weren't ever the program was not going wasn't wrestling when Rob Cole was a head coach, or you weren't there for that. Correct? You were at the Spartan RTC in 2019, and then COVID
no,
happened, and then
Cornell wrestled when I was there. Or
Rob,
Rob Cole was he was
your
leading the
freshman
pack.
year.
Yeah,
Okay, so he was there for your freshman year, and then that next year Mike transitioned to the head coach. Correct?
hmm.
Okay. And there's been a decent amount of turnover with the assistant coaches included. I mean, was Scotty your frog coach?
Scott was my frog coach.
Right. So he's your frog coach, and then he ends up coming back to be an assistant coach for you for your senior year. And
Hmm.
Donnie was there my very first year for a couple months, and then he was back, and now he's gone already to be the head coach. And so there's a decent amount of turnover with the coaches there. But how do you kind of navigate that? Is there some pros and cons that you can take from it in terms of different experiences and different perspectives? How do you handle that?
There was a ton of turnover when in my time at Cornell. I got recruited by Rob Cole and Damian Hahn, both who are no longer there,
Hmm.
and Mike as well. He was in the recruiting process. Gabe Dean no longer there. Max Dean gone. Kyle Dake gone. Scotty left, came back. Donnie recruited me to NC State, and then I wrestled for him at Cornell. He's gone. Um, yeah, no, I mean, we've switched hands a lot between coaching staff and like wrestlers in the room. Like RTC guys have also been in and out as well. But I mean, the mission's kind of always been the same. Like, I found my rock. It's just like I'm going to be given the same effort and like trusting in the coach. And the guy that's been there the whole time was Mike. And I'm sure you know Mike. Mike has his way of his structured way of running practice. So like practice has never really changed that much because he's always been the guy like running the practices and doing the techniques for us and all that. So um, the team dynamics changed a lot. Like it took a very big turn when Kyle, Gabe, Max, and Scotty left because that was like, or at least for me, because I was a heavier guy, and that just took a
Right.
huge, like, it was weird how like the dynamic shifted. But
Hmm.
more classes come in year after year, dynamic changes every year, and I didn't really let it affect me that much. I just
Yeah.
focused on the guys who were in front of me that stayed, and if some of the guys came back, then it would be awesome, and I'd be happy. I would be
Sweet.
happy to see them, and
Yeah.
like Scotty, Scotty came back and he did a wonderful job with us this year, and I was very happy to have him back. But
Right.
yeah, no, I mean, you know what it's like. Like there's a ton of turnover that you've seen as well. But
Hmm.
yeah, just keeping the course and yeah, going full steam.
Yeah. Being able to rely on yourself and having that self discipline to just say, whoever's there, as long as I can get a good workout in, and
Because
find a way to get that better.
there were definitely like you're asking pros and cons. Like the pros is like Kyle Day took me under his wing for 2 years. You know, showed
Hmm.
me techniques and ways of thinking, like thinking outside the box, things that would fit my style of like creativity and all that. And then Gabe Dean like instilled in hard work, like all that. And I just needed like a big bully guy to just beat me up in the room, got to pull on my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Max kind of the same way. So like I took the lessons that they taught me year after year, and even when they're gone, like I just kept those things mental, like in my mind. Um,
Right.
Cons is, I mean, I lost a bunch of partners,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I lost some coaches, and it's tough because Donnie was my guy. He was I had him for 3 years, and I shared some wonderful moments with him. Like we all
Right.
American together,
Yeah.
and he knew me in and out. He knew my style. He knew everything. He knew what I was thinking in the middle of the match. And when he left, it broke me for a while. I was really upset about it.
Hmm.
And yeah, no, it's just there are ups and downs about it, but yeah, no, that's all I got.
Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, absolutely. I, because I mean, even at Indiana, there were like when I went there, initially it was Angel as the head coach, which he still is, and but Isaac Jordan was an assistant coach, and Mike Dixon was there, and then Mike Dixon went to go be a coach at Beat the Streets in Chicago, and now he's back, and Surtis was there, and then he left, and so yeah, there's I mean, there aren't very many coaching staffs that don't kind of go through this influx, this change
Hmm.
process at least over a couple of years. So being able to rely on yourself and know that yes, there's going to be change, external factors, and whatever I can control is what I can control, and being able to utilize that as much as possible. That's the path forward in my mind.
Hmm.
So, um, looking at some stuff, at least within matches and for coaches, if you're in a match and things are intense or you're a little flustered mentally, has there ever been anything that coaches have been able to like uh, you know say or do to kind of get you to refocus or get you to kind of center yourself, or relax, get your heart rate under control, anything like that?
I think about this year, honestly, with that question, it's just I've had some crazy matches this year, ones
Hmm.
that came down on the wire, and like you're going to in the NCAA season, like not everybody's going to have their best day, but one that comes to mind is the Ivy League final in the Ivy League conference, and
Yeah.
I was wrestling Max Hale from Penn. He takes me down. We get into a crazy little flurry. I get cradled for a sec, and I come back on top. He cuts me, and it's 5-5. Probably 30 seconds left in the third period. They're reviewing the scoring because so much happened, and the coaches think that I'm like tweaking a little bit, and they're like, "Hey, like relax, like you're gonna be fine." I'm like, "Hey, like I've never felt more confident than this moment. Like I live for this. Like I like intense situations. Like I feel like I perform under pressure pretty well,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I just kind of thrive in those environments. And my move of choice was an inside trip throw, of course.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I watched the clip a couple of times. I saw it and I was like, that's the way to do it for
That's the
sure.
way to do it.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, that was very dangerous. And if one little slip up happens, I mean, I'm landing square on my back, and he's taking me down, and we lose the Ivy League championship as a team.
Right.
But I don't know, like mentally, I just like those pressure situations, and I've been in so many of them. I like being a part of it, and honestly, it's fun to me. Like win or lose
Hmm.
that match, like I was telling the guys, I was like, that was just a fun match to be a part of, you
Yeah.
know. And I've had pressure situations like the UPenn Cornell duel 2 years ago, when Lowe was hurt and me and Jacob had to clutch up for the team. Like the
Yeah.
NCAA quarters that year when I wrestled Dustin Plott, like and you're not always going to win them. Like I had
Hmm.
Carter Starachi on the ropes in Florida 3 years ago. I was beating him, took him down, put together a little ride, and I think I'm winning or we're tied going into the third period. If I win, we pretty much beat Penn State. Like we had
Right.
a little bit of a lead, and you're not always going to win them. I got ridden out and I lost. Like it
Yeah.
happens, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like whenever the pressure rises, the coaches are like, "All right, like this is what we want."
Let them ride the wave.
Hmm.
Yeah.
When it's too
It's,
too calm, I think they get a little nervous because like then I start to wrestle down to the level of my competition, and they're like, "Hey,
yeah.
like, you need to lock in," you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you can slip into that lull and you kind of get caught off guard. I get
Hmm.
you. Yeah. I mean, are there? I guess that would be a situation where you're kind of you're not really on your game. Is there like is there anything that you can kind of say like I'm, this is not a type of match that I'm going to wrestle my best in?
Probably when it's too relaxed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Where
I need
yeah, I
pressure. I
mean
need
one
energy. I need a
one
guy that's
exchange matches.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I learned I didn't like those matches, but I learned how to wrestle in them because you're gonna have them. But
yeah.
um, no, I need pressure. I need energy. I need a guy that's gonna have high output. That's gonna want to wrestle me. That's gonna want to take a shot on me. You know.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
when it's a guy that's like we're in a quiet gym and like the match is just going and I'm just like trying to psych myself up, it's like it's tough to compete in an environment that has no energy.
Yeah, yeah. That so speaking of like you're gonna have those close matches, and so you needed to be able to navigate to win those. Like I remember having a conversation with Yanni about that because it's something he had to learn when he was wrestling Tavanyan. Like understanding that not all of my opponents are gonna want to have more than one take. Sorry, folks. Ryan popped in and that shut down the recording, but we're back now. Yeah, we're just talking about wrestling close matches and being able to navigate those because sometimes you're gonna have those close matches for sure. Um, Yeah, and honestly, like that's a big thing on the senior level too. I think you are going to wrestle a lot of European style guys who are just going to try and wrestle one exchange and then shut down after that. So
Mm-hmm.
to navigate that, I think is going to be it's going to be a big tool to be able to do that at the senior level.
I feel like that's where the American pace starts to come in and wearing on these guys because, like you're saying, they want to keep it one exchange and just do the bare minimum. And nah, it's gonna be tough. These guys are seasoned vets and they all know what they're doing. So I got my work cut out for me.
Right. Yeah. Um. So, I mean, I'm guessing you don't really know what things look like outside of really just wrestling to 2028 and going for that Olympic gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, maybe you wrestle one or two more cycles after that. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
If things are going well. But after all that's said and done, I mean, you have an Ivy League degree. You can kind of do whatever you want to do with that, and you're a highly successful wrestler. You can do whatever you want to do with that. What kind of path do you think you would see yourself taking when your competitive career is over?
So I have majored in real estate and finance in the hotel school.
Okay.
I have a little bit of real estate experience. I've worked in the real estate industry for the last about 4 years now.
Okay.
Um, so while I'm competing, I'm probably going to be doing something part time or remote, just
Yep.
to get a better feel for the industry as well. Keep my mind active and just stay in the industry as a whole. Um, I'll probably start looking to do like investment portfolio, start building something like that, like alongside wrestling as well. So that way, when I'm retired wrestling, I could just do that on my own and start building up. I don't know. I guess my own property portfolio.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
when I'm retired wrestling, I want to coach,
Okay.
preferably a
What?
D1 program
Yeah. I
or even.
you you can do it. I promise. You
Mhm.
are qualified to be a coach at a Division 1 level. Um, you can get the job done.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, that is cool. Investment property, that you'll be set. You will be more than well taken care of if that is what you're going to be doing for yourself.
Mhm.
And the sport will be blessed to keep you around for as long as possible.
Try to stay
That
around
is,
as long as I can.
yeah. I mean, well, that's one thing that I've noticed. Um, is that I feel like sometimes it's such an individual sport. You'll see a lot of guys, they won't achieve their goals or they'll just feel betrayed by the sport in a particular way because it's such a personal experience that, they kind of abandon it. I feel like I don't see a lot of people who wrestle at a high level also become fans at a high level.
Hmm.
Um, I mean,
Yeah,
what is it like for you? Do you want to be able to do you want to go to NCAAs and kind of cheer on the Big Red moving forward? Like what do you want to do?
absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I was on the phone with my girlfriend probably like an hour ago, and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna make NCAA's a yearly thing," because
Yeah.
we were talking about like where we're gonna be, like RTC stuff, and I was like future plans, and I'm like, "No, we just got to make NCAA's. Like we got to do that every year." And
Hmm.
no, I plan to be a fan. I plan to stick around the sport, and like you're saying, it's super easy to fall out of love with, like especially as a high level competitor, like as well. It's like
Hmm.
you work so hard tirelessly day and night, and you do everything possible to get the results that you want, and
Yeah.
sometimes just one exchange that you just can't control,
Right.
and it sucks. For me, that was the round of 12 last year. Like I was I was sitting at Kansas City Live and just like staring at this dude playing some music on the stage, and I'm just like, I'm done, man. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
At the time, I'm
Uh,
like 23. I'm already old for the sport, for college. Like I
yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. And like my girlfriend actually had to talk me back into getting into it. She was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
like no, you're more."
Right. Yeah, you've got some left in the tank. But I totally understand that just being in the pit where you're just kind of just have to sit there and hold on to it for a while and go through the process of loss or whatever it needs to be titled. And yeah, those are tough moments. So
Hmm.
and so your girlfriend, is she going to NCAAs with you? This will make
Yeah,
sense. Is she?
she
That's a
is.
keeper. She's a keeper. Uh,
Yeah, she's
I
great, man.
I've been with Katie for 3 years. We bought a house together. I took her to one and out. I took her to one youth tournament, and she said, "Never do that to me ever again." And I didn't force her. She volunteered, and I don't blame her for not wanting to go to youth tournaments. Those are a different beast. But man, if I can get her to NCAAs for at least 1 year, I think I'll change her mind because
Youth tournaments and nationals are different. You should take her because like it's like a show almost. You know,
right, yeah,
it's a very.
dude, it's great. If you have
Mhm.
good seats, I mean, yeah, it's always a lot of fun. Um, I really liked it in Kansas City. It was really great there. Philly was cool too,
Mhm.
but Kansas City was awesome. So just it's good to hear that you're gonna be around. You're gonna be a fan of the sport. It's really
Absolutely.
great to hear. So with things wrapping up for you at Cornell, I mean, you've got a lot of memories. You've got a lot of friendships. What is the biggest thing that you are taking away from not necessarily wrestling as a whole, but within this 6 year experience, the college experiment? What's the biggest thing you're taking away? The biggest learning lesson?
The biggest lesson. Uh, there's so many. It's like things will figure themselves out in time. Like I've had to deal with
Hmm.
so much between like a tough frog schedule, then COVID, then everybody leaving, and more classes, and having wrestling success, having wrestling failures. Like outside of that, just like tough times in the classroom, like
Hmm.
internships, friendships. Like I mean, you know the whole nine. So like just
Yeah.
living on my own, becoming my own man, and like the friendships that I have here, I've made some friends that'll last a lifetime, and
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for the people that I met, and I'm very thankful for the experiences that I've had, and even getting into Cornell and doing this whole Ivy League thing as a whole was just a blessing. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, just trusting in the experience, and you might not know where you're going to be, you might not know where your feet are going to land, but
Hmm.
if you just approach everything with an open mind, you're probably going to end up in the right place.
Right. Being able to rely on yourself and never shutting down.
Hmm.
Keep continuing to take that one step forward. Things usually tend to work out as long as you continue to try. Yeah, that's a great perspective. Okay, I have a couple of kind of faster questions here, maybe a little bit more fun, and then we can kind of wrap it up and get out of here. So, what's your warm up playlist? Or give me the vibe. What songs are you listening to? Does it depend on the match? Does it depend on the tournament?
Oh, it depends on the match, venue, and tournament. It depends on
Okay,
so much.
lay it out for me.
So I feel like you're asking me this because you saw me dancing at nationals. Is this true?
I I do remember seeing you dancing, but I mean, this is kind of like a common question that I like to ask because I mean, one of the Berryessa, one of the first things I found out about him is that at Fargo, when he won his Fargo title, he was warming up to Disney music the whole time. And so ever since then, I'm like, I don't know what anybody's like. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on in these earbuds ever. And
Oh.
so I'm always curious. Like, are you listening to white noise? Are you listening to a documentary? Like, what's going on in there, basically? So,
So I'll just say this. My theme, my motto for the national tournament this year was dance party. Me and Kellen Russell and Kellen Russell's wife and the team that was there, we were just dancing before matches, and I was like Dave McFadden. I was like, dude, I have to dance. I got to be in a good mood. So it was like a little bit of NSYNC, a ton of Lady Gaga, some Michael Jackson, some Whitney, um, and some Sabrina Carpenter. You know,
Some good grooves.
that was
Yeah.
that was nationals, and like I felt like the vibe was fitting for that. It was a big arena, and like I was just like getting in my groove. I had dudes that the guys that were working staff at the tournament, the dudes that were like I guess like maintenance workers around the
Yeah.
actual arena. They were like watching me dance, and they would ask when I was wrestling. They'd go and cheer me on and stuff. It was fire. But at home, like I'd probably listen to like some grunge or like whatever the vibe was. If my vibe was too low, then I'd probably put on some like dance music, like Dua Lipa or something like that, just to bring my vibe up, make me smile.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I've had grunge, I've had rock, I've had I've had Disney.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, some pop, Michael Jackson, like whatever it is.
Largely high energy, just trying to keep the vibes up.
High energy, good beats, something I could sing to.
I get it. I think that makes sense. I think that makes
Hmm.
sense. All right. What was the? Yeah, I guess we can take a look. We'll talk about just getting it done the first time. What was the hardest thing on your path to becoming an All American?
The first time or at all?
At all, I guess. Yeah.
Locking in mentally and buying in. And
Yeah.
it's so easy for me to say that now, but you wrestle every day and you're like, oh, I'm doing everything that it takes. But then when you actually start doing what it takes to become an All American, the little things that you do even outside the room, like how
Hmm.
you're eating, the portions that you have, what time you're waking up, uh, getting in the cold tub, like doing recovery after matches,
Hmm.
writing like practice notes, match notes in your journal, things you want to work on, doing individual sessions, and then in the practice room, just giving it your all. The way that you approach matches, your gas tank, like everything. When I
Yeah.
raised that level up another notch from what I was already doing,
Hmm.
I just saw way different results. When I lost in Detroit, um, I sat with Mike Gray, and Mike's like, "Hey, like, don't think I'm just gonna sit here and bash you. Like, you went 1-2. It's not what you wanted. It's not what anybody wanted, and like, it sucks. But you have so much potential to become an All American. You got 3 more years to get to the top of that podium, and I believe if there's anybody on the team that could do it, it's you." He's like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna be a resource for you all summer. Whatever you need, I'm gonna be there.
Hmm.
Obviously, he lives in Ithaca, and he's like, the work has to come from you. He's like, you know what it takes to wrestle at this level now. And I was like, all right, like I understood the assignment. And after that, I started running. I was cutting so much weight, so I ran every day for a summer, got my weight down, got
Yeah.
strong, lifted, and then did all those things that I mentioned, and I just
Right.
leveled up.
Yeah. That's awesome. That I mean, if look, if there's anybody out there that's still listening at this point, and you are, say if you are a wrestler who just fell short of your dreams, that's your template right there. Take
Mhm.
in every single way that you can to step it up one more notch. Whether it's your sleep, your eating habits, your what you're doing in your free time to relax, maintaining low stress levels, how you train, every little aspect. If you can elevate all of it, it all adds up. It's crazy.
Mhm.
So okay, okay. Let get into this just a little bit. Was there a lot of doubt, or how would you handle doubting? The process or your coaches or anything like that.
It was blind faith. I was sitting there, and I knew I was worth more than that. Like I said, my freshman year, I was a top 10 guy in the country, and I went 1-2, and I was like, no, these are guys like I'm watching them in the round of 12. I'm like, these are guys that I've beaten. Like, I remember watching the
Mm-hmm.
Wyoming kid, and I was like, no, I beat that kid at Vegas. Like, that should be me, man.
Yeah.
And I remember doubting myself going into the tournament because, like, I had just suffered 2 concussions and, like, my weight
Mm-hmm.
got out of control. I'm like, I don't feel good. Like, my weight cut was horrible. I think I cut 11 or 12 pounds going into day two. Like, it was out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was doubt speaking to me at any point in my college career, it was then. It was like, I'm just trying to get through. This isn't the tournament that I want. And I knew it from the gate. And that negative self talk, I think, also played a factor in my performance. Like, I feel like if I went into the tournament with the head that I have now, I could have done a little better, even
Mm-hmm.
with the horrible gas tank because I couldn't even really wrestle. Um, but at least I would have been positive about it and made some things work. But
Yeah.
no, that was a very doubtful period.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Who's the toughest guy you wrestled?
In college.
Yeah, sure.
Honestly, Max McAnally is freaking good.
Yeah.
Tough. He's a brute.
So I watch him wrestle and I just think of like early 2000s college wrestling.
Yeah, reminds me of
So
like
he's
Lincoln
just,
McElravy.
yeah, just tough as nails.
He's I wrestled him obviously in the quarters, and uh, it was a winnable match. Like we were one takedown away from I was a takedown away from getting him, but just his feel, like he was super strong. He was fast. He got to the leg, and you could tell like he's a freshman too, but you could tell he wanted to win that match really bad. And
Right.
like in terms of like toughness, like a dude that like I grabbed and I was like, damn, like this kid's good. And
Yes.
I think he's a freshman too. Like I think he's gonna be a three timer. But
Yeah.
um no, I think he's the toughest dude I've wrestled.
That's high praise.
Hmm.
Wow. And I'm like a short, like right behind them, second place for sure. If you could wrestle anyone, just dead or alive, bigger or smaller, who would it be?
Hassan Yazdani.
Yeah, I mean that's not
It's a
outside the realm
dream
of
match.
possibility. You can do
That
that,
is not, that is absolutely within the realm of possibility.
right?
But that's a dream match of mine. I've watched him since he won the Olympics in 2016, and I was like, damn, that guy's good. He went up to 86, and I mean, I've been around his weight class for like 4 or 5 years now. I'm like,
Yeah,
like we were doing those cards in freestyle around COVID. I
yeah,
was like
yep,
hoping at one point, because I was on a card with David Taylor for a sec, but he got
yeah,
hurt and pulled out. But I was like, yes, Donnie's the guy I want to wrestle.
right. Hey, manifest it. Put in the
It
work. It'll
might
happen.
happen.
Yes, exactly. I'd be rooting for it. So, all right. That is about all I have, and we're coming up on just about 50 minutes. Is there anything that you want to plug? You got any sponsorships or anything like that, or just anything you want the people to know about? You can let them know now.
um, Camps and clinics. If you guys want me, I'm here and I'm open.
Yes,
Hit me up,
yes,
and I'll teach
exactly.
you guys some Foca style. But
Yes.
no, that's pretty much all I got, Sammy.
All right. Hey, I might bring you down here and have you run one. You and Julian. We'll see.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a good day. And yeah, see you.